welcome back to the 1% Show. If you're new here, tune in to hear me spin the yarns with authors, savants, and eccentric humans every week. I'm your Aussie host, Brandon Nankivell, and it's time to kick back and enjoy the show. Let's go. Do you find it difficult to find time to read? Well, I put together an online course that will teach you how to get twice as much value out of books by reading half as much. It will show you how to strategically select valuable books before you even invest time into reading them. This is something that speed reading courses don't teach you. It will show you whether you should be reading books, ebooks, or audiobooks. It will show you how to conquer your wandering mind, how to apply what you read so you can actually create real results, which is what reading is all about at the end of the day, and how to avoid wasting countless hours due to poor reading habits. It's a lifetime investment that will help you to extract more value from every single book you read from now on. To get started, head to elitereaderacademy.com. Again, that's elitereaderacademy.com. I'll see you there. To the listeners listening in, today we have Evan Carmichael on the show. So, taking this straight from your website, Evan, it says, I believe in entrepreneurs. At 19, I built and sold a biotech software company. At 22, I was a VC helping raise $500,000 to $15 million. I now run evancarmichael.com, a popular website for entrepreneurs. I breathe and I bleed entrepreneurship. I'm obsessed. Aiming to help 1 billion entrepreneurs change the world. I've set 2 world records, use a stand-up desk, ride a Vespa, raised funds for Kiva, wear 5-toe shoes, and created entrepreneur trading cards. I speak globally, but Toronto and City is my home. I love being married, my son, salsa dancing, DJing, League of Legends, and the Toronto Blue Jays. Evan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the love, man. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. Yeah, what a blessing it is to be here. So, Evan, you've got some interesting things in that bio, and I've actually got quite a few questions based around some of those things you said there. So we're going to get into some deep stuff, some niche stuff, and then also the typical entrepreneur stuff. But ultimately, I think this is going to be quite a blast. So are you feeling ready, Michael? Or Evan Carmichael, I should say.
Deep and niche. Let's do it. I love it. Let's go.
All right, man. So to hit it straight off, you did mention you've got 2 world records. Like, what on earth is that all about?
So those were fun. One was the world's largest mentoring event, and it was based here in Toronto. Actually, they're both here in Toronto, Canada. So they got a ton of different mentors and a ton of different entrepreneurs, and it was speed mentoring, where I was one of the mentors, and they had to sit down for 3 minutes. And a new entrepreneur would basically come in every 3 minutes. And so they've got to introduce themselves, and you've got to give them some valuable advice in 3 minutes. And then like, bing, timer goes, next person. So we set the world record for the world's largest mentoring event. And then the second one was, we were raising money for this organization in a really poor area of my city. And they were trying to help people get off the streets and build a good life for themselves through entrepreneurship. And so to help raise money for that program, we built the world's largest QR code, and we took over a soccer field, and we all had different pieces of this QR code. We all held like 1 pixel of the QR code and held it up, and a plane came over top of us and snapped a picture, and we set the record. So those were the 2 records, both around entrepreneurship, something I'm passionate about and fun to be a part of.
Holy moly. So just on the QR code thing, did you actually hold up like black and white square panels that were so big that the plane could actually see them from its view?
Yeah, so they printed off, I forget how many pixels are in a QR code, but they printed it off, and then we had to take over the soccer field and kind of line them up, and which one was black and which one was white, and then make sure we did it properly so that, if you actually scanned it, it would work. And then we held them up, and a plane came over top of us and snapped some pictures. And for those records, the Guinness has to have some kind of official there to watch, and it's very kind of strict as to the qualifications. And so we had to have the plane go over at a certain time and snap the picture, and it got to the judge and like, yeah, this passes, and we set another record. So it was fun.
Awesome, dude. So for those listening, maybe in the back of their mind, they're like, I've always thought of setting a world record. where do you suggest starting to go about doing that?
If it's one of those bucket list things, kind of there's a lot of different events that are probably happening in your city or close by if you don't live in a big city. There's a ton that are happening in Toronto. They have a salsa festival on the streets, and they try to set the world record for the largest salsa dance class. And so you don't really need to have any skills or expertise. It's not like I can hold my breath underwater for 35 minutes and be attacked by sharks at the same time. It's nothing crazy like that. Holding up a piece of a QR code is not an insanely difficult thing to do. So I'd just be looking at the biggest city that's around you and seeing what kind of activities they're having, and if anybody needs volunteers to go help out.
Yeah, right on. And now how about the stand-up desk? I'm curious, it was trending a little while back, and, all those articles about, sitting is killing you, sitting isn't you smoking. So I'm wondering, what made you make the switch to using a stand-up desk?
That's a funny one. When I originally had that on my bio, it was maybe 10 to 15 years ago at a time when nobody was using a stand-up desk. So it caught a lot more like, what's a stand-up desk? I had to explain that when I was doing interviews. It's still kind of weird and niche now, but at least people understand what it is, and IKEA sells them and you can pick them up more easily. It started, I was in my 20s and I was having really bad back and knee problems. Like, how is this happening? I'm in my 20s. I don't have any major, I didn't have any injuries. There's no reason for this to be happening. And I learned, I forget where I learned about it. I learned from somebody about the stand-up desk concept. And instead of just buying a stand-up desk, I hate spending money on things until I prove that it's kind of working. And so I just went out and I had my bookcase and I was working off my laptop. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to clear off a shelf on my bookcase and just try working, standing up for a week and see how it goes. And the first time, I don't think I got past maybe 2 hours, and then my legs got too tired and I'm shifting weight and I need to sit down. Like, this is too much. And then you just start building up endurance. And with time, that combined with trying to be barefoot as much as possible, maybe I should add that to my my bio. My knees started feeling better. My back started feeling better. And, 10, 15 years later, I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s. So I'm fortunate to have discovered that. And it's great that a lot of people are trying it, whether it's standing up all day or switching between the two. I think sitting down and not being active can cause a lot of issues for people.
Sure. So in regards to the bare feet, is your reason behind this for... there's a couple reasons why people go bare feet. I think number one is grounding. I don't know if you've heard about the concept of grounding through positive and negative ions and having your feet directly in contact with the ground. There's either that or the fact that you like being in the natural way of how humans evolved, and maybe that's why you wear 5-toe shoes as well. Could you just tell us more about this?
Yeah, for me, it's neither. Maybe I experienced those benefits and it's fantastic. I love it, but it wasn't the intention going in. It was more, I wanted to fix my knees and my back. It's like, I'm in my late 20s and I should not be having these problems. At least I felt that I'm a healthy person. I should not be having these kind of problems. And I read somewhere again about how shoes might be causing a problem. You should be barefoot more often. So I guess kind of your natural state. And I thought, you know what, I'll try it. I'll try anything once.
Yeah.
I'll try it, right? I'll try it for a week. It's this crazy thing. Nobody else is doing it. I'm okay with that. Like, I'll try it. I'll see. Does it get results or not? And it started working for me. And so I just stopped. I mean, I wear shoes when I go out. I try to wear the 5-toe shoes. I learned about that way back. Again, that was one of those things that when I first put in my bio was also like, what's 5-toe shoes? And now the concept of it and barefoot is a lot more acceptable and normal than it used to be. But it's still great to bring awareness to it. So the 5-toe shoes kind of replicate that same feeling of not having the cushiony shoes at the bottom and helping me change how I walked. And that ultimately it was just to help save my knees and my back. And I didn't know if it would work. It worked. And so just continue doing it.
Sure. So you wear normal shoes when you go out. Obviously, I guess right now it is a bit of a social cost to be wearing those goofy looking 5-toe shoes out. So I'm wondering.
Oh, I'll still wear them out. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't care about looking goofy or. Okay. I went to the chiropractor recently and she wanted to do cupping. I don't know if you know cupping. Like they put these things on your back but I don't know what it does, but anyway, it's supposed to release the muscle tension or whatever. And I asked her to put it on my neck. It's like, oh, we don't usually put it on the neck because people will see and they'll think there's something wrong with you. Like, oh, I don't care. She said somebody might think you have a huge hickey. Like, I've done YouTube videos with an actual hickey. So I don't mind about having this thing on my neck. So I don't really care about other people's judgments. I'll go to black tie events, with my Believe hoodie on, some slacks and my 5-toe shoes. I'm not there to try to offend anybody with it, but I don't care about people thinking that it looks silly or stupid.
Yeah. Now this is actually a really interesting topic that I didn't anticipate. And so this always makes for interesting conversation when something pops up like this. And I know you did a video with Aaron Marino from the Alpha M YouTube channel. And he talks a lot about not only him, but Antonio Centino as well, behind the Real Men, Real Style channel. And both of these guys talk a lot about, self-image, giving off an image in the way that you dress and present yourself outwardly. So I'm curious, Evan, do you have any concern in the way that you present yourself through, maybe just wearing a hoodie and these 5-toe shoes, as opposed to wearing something that's more formal and might give off a more, I don't know, successful impression or something? Any thoughts on this?
So Aaron and Antonio are both friends. They've been on the channel. I love their message. For me, it's much more about, if you want to be confident, I think you want to be wearing the things that make you feel confident. And when I first started off as an entrepreneur, I was really young. I was 19, had my first business, a real business, I guess. Every time that I had a meeting, I always felt like I'm too young. They won't take me seriously. I need to wear a suit. And so I always wore a suit to every single meeting, even if they weren't wearing a suit. And it made me, I guess, feel a little bit more confident, but it wasn't real confidence. It wasn't tangible confidence. It was confidence in the clothes, but not in myself. And I think you see that really often. Like, if you look at Jay-Z, you look at the up and coming Jay-Z, he's got the chains and trying to prove himself and, dressing with these super expensive suits. And now you look at Jay-Z, most of the time he's in a pair of slacks and a t-shirt. It's like, you don't care anymore because you got the inner confidence. Mm-hmm. You don't need that outside appearance to make you feel cool. You just know you're cool. And it's not cool like against other people. It's not like I'm cooler than you. I believe in myself. So I don't need the suit. And for some people, it's the suit. Like, some people love the suit. Some people, the suit is a thing that that's their expression of self. I think the clothes you wear should be much more a creative expression of who you are, more than I'm trying to fit in and match somebody else's expectations. So I think that's the difference. And so for me, I feel like I'm Superman when I put on my Believe hoodies. I want to wear it every time I'm wearing it right now. We're doing a podcast. Doesn't matter. I'm wearing my hoodie. I love it. And so most of the time, again, when I'm going to events, I'm invited. I'm a speaker. I'm a presenter. I'm giving an award, whatever it is. So they're bringing me in. They know what I'm all about. If I'm going to, somebody's wedding, I'm not going to show up in that gear. Obviously, there's some respect and courtesy there. I'm not there to try to cause a kerfuffle. Is that even a word still? Kerfuffle? Is that a Canadian thing?
Now.
Kerfuffle? You think kerfuffle? To cause a storm, right? I'm not there to cause controversy. So you have respect for the venue that you're in. But when I'm invited to come and be a speaker, like, they're hiring me for who I am. So I'm going to dress how I feel comfortable dressing. Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, like, Antonio and Aaron would be on the same vein, as you don't want to wear something that makes you feel uncomfortable and not who you are. Yeah. And so wear the things that make you feel confident. And for me, that's what I wear.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely love that attitude, Evan. Moving on to now the entrepreneur trading cards. Like, you said you've made some entrepreneur trading cards. I'm super curious. Like, is this it almost sounds a bit goofy, at least when I read it. And I'm thinking, Evan, is that business actually profitable?
So we didn't do it as a business. It was something that I did a number of years ago. I love baseball cards. That was one of my first passions growing up. It was my first business venture, really, where I was 12, 13 years old. I'm from Toronto. The Toronto Blue Jays are our hometown baseball team. And when I was 12 and 13, they won the World Series of baseball. It's like the ultimate trophy in baseball. And so it was like baseball fever here. Everybody really was going nuts for it. And so baseball cards were also super popular, and I would buy and trade. And I was sitting there as a 12-year-old, negotiating with 40 and 50-year-olds over 5 cents and 10 cents. And that's where I kind of cut my teeth on negotiation. Mm-hmm. And I still, behind me, I have a shelf, and on there are some of my favorite baseball cards, and not necessarily the most valuable ones, just the ones that have the most memory and meaning for me. And I look at them, I pass by them every day. And I just thought, you know what? Entrepreneurs should be heroes too. And we call it the Entrepreneur Heroes trading set. And just like we look up the sports athletes and baseball stars and basketball stars or cricket or whatever it is, I thought, you know what, entrepreneurs deserve some celebration as well. And so I partnered up with a number of different bloggers at the time. That's when blogging was all the rage. And so we had Seth Godin and Guy Kawasaki and Gary Vaynerchuk and John Chow and all those guys in the blogging world. And I asked them, who was your favorite entrepreneur and why? And so they picked who went on the front of the card, and they gave me a quote as to why. And that was also strategic because I wanted them to help me promote the card. So like Tim Ferriss shouted it out because he picked his favorite entrepreneur and he was in the set. And so that helped generate the sales. All the profits went to charity. So we raised over $100,000 for a charity called Kiva, which helps startup entrepreneurs around the world get money. We picked African entrepreneurs specifically. I had someone on my team who really cared about Africa. And so we raised $100,000 through that. And that's going off to help entrepreneurs in Africa build a better life for themselves. And at the same time, celebrate entrepreneurship and some of the heroes that we have. People have asked, like, are you going to do a set 2, set 3? And it's one of those things, like, it was a really fun project for me to do. And I love being able to make cards, but it's not an ongoing. It was a creative expression. It was a song that I wanted to sing, and I sang it. And now we're moving on to other things.
Yeah, wow, like 100K. That's really impressive through these entrepreneurial cards. Incredible. All right, love it. So I had to, I just couldn't do this podcast without addressing those things in your bio. So now, well, it's in a bit of a funny order, but whatever. We can sort of do what we want here. Now, could you share with us, Evan, for those who are completely new to you, could you just give us like the 5-minute spiel on your story, the compressed version of how you came to be an entrepreneur? So basically starting from the age of 18 up until now where you are.
Sure. And just quickly before that, for the listeners who are entrepreneurs, who are trying to get their awareness out, having a noteworthy bio is important. I think most people's bios are boring and aren't really attention grabbing. And so to be able to have a couple things in there that when somebody reads it, they're like, what? Well, tell me about that. That creates interest. And so it's a good idea to revisit your own bios and think about what can I add in here? I might have the traditional things, but also a few things to spice it up and get people thinking. Quick version of myself, and we can go deeper on any of these points if you want. Mm-hmm. From 18 plus. All right. So I thought I wanted to be a banker. 18, I'm just kind of graduating high school. And in my high school yearbook, it says I'm going to be VP at a bank in 10 years. When you kind of fill out those, where you're going to be in 10 years. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought I wanted to be. I had a lot of entrepreneur tendencies growing up through baseball card, trading and lemonade stands and all that kind of stuff. But nobody in my family was an entrepreneur. And so I still felt like I'm going to be a banker. Just didn't have the influences. And then in university, I connected with 2 people who had started a business and they needed help. And I thought, this is a really cool opportunity. And at that time, I also got potential offers to go work at the big banks that I wanted to work at. I had Merrill Lynch and McKinsey, which is a consulting company. And we're talking like 80, 100K salary, first year, flying around the world. First job was stationed in Asia, and they're flying me to New York and putting me up in the Waldorf Astoria, which is one of the most historic hotels in New York, and a lot of schmoozing and all that. Like the life that I thought I wanted versus this startup that I'm making $300 a month, living in poverty off of. And I just decided, you know what? I don't want to live with regret. I had something happen to me the year earlier that just made me decide I'm not going to live with regret. And I can deal with the startup not working, but I can't deal with it. I can't deal with not knowing. I have to know. I can deal with the failure, but I can't deal with not knowing because that's going to be failure for the rest of my life. It will haunt me. And so I thought, you know what? I may not get these same job opportunities in the future, but I can get something similar. It may not be as good, but it could be something similar if I wanted to go down that path. And I decided to go down the entrepreneurial way. and, struggled and failed and had lots of embarrassing moments and felt at the lowest point in my life a number of times because we just weren't getting results, and it was soul crushing for me. Eventually turned it around, had a turning point, started creating sales, getting partnerships, eventually sold the company 3 years later. And then I hooked up to become a venture capitalist, and then got into YouTube and continued to grow kind of from there. But a lot of kind of struggles in the early days, a lot of uncertainty, and that decision to not live in regret it was one of the most important decisions I've ever made in my life. And it's still something that I hold as a big criteria for making new decisions, like talking to Brandon today. Am I going to regret not talking to Brandon? Like I gotta do it just to know.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be great, but I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Any major important decision though in my life, I still see it through that lens of, am I going to regret not taking action on this? And then if the answer is yes, I'm going to regret it, then it helps eliminate the fear of taking action on that thing that you want to do, but you're afraid to do it.
Sure, love it. So just swinging back to the biotech company now, in what time frame was it that you started this fresh and then ended up selling it? How long did you say? 3 years?
So it was a 3-year period. Now, I didn't start the company. It was started by the two founders. I joined, I don't know in what year 2, maybe. They had their first product, but they weren't selling. A couple sales, but it wasn't really a business. And so I joined as an owner in that company. And it took 3 years from when I started to when we sold. So it was 19 when I started in the business and 22 when I sold it. A lot of crazy times. It was mostly struggle and then a quick rise and a quick sell. But the first 2 years were just insanely bad.
And that seems to be a typical story for most entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, I think at the start of any business, there's a couple things that happen. One, you're just not good. You just don't know how to make good stuff yet. When you first started your podcast, you're not as good as you are now.
Yeah.
Listen back on the first interview. It takes time to get good. And it's especially hard when you know what good looks like and you can't do it. Mm-hmm. Whoever you look up to in the podcasting world, if like Tim Ferriss is the staple or Joe Rogan or whoever it is, you're like, that's good. And then like, I can't do that. It's really frustrating. It's really kind of soul crushing. You feel like a failure that you can't do it. And so I'm a big believer that the quantity leads to the quality. You get paid for the quality, but in order to produce quality, you have to go through a lot of quantity so that you can hone your skills, just like anything else. And yes, you can model success and kind of get there faster, but you still need to put in the work. And so for whatever it is that you want to do, for most entrepreneurs, when they start, it's very rare that the business that they start in is the actual business that they finish with. Because there's so many iterations and changes. Their vision may be the same, but how they go out and do it can change. Your interview style, your questions has not been the same on every single episode. If it was, then there's no growth. Then you're not evolving. Then you're not getting better. And so that's the painful struggle that entrepreneurs have to go through in order to build a business.
Sure. Yeah. And just to add a few words on that, the first episode of the podcast I was editing just yesterday, Evan. And boy, was it just it shocked me. We're 30 episodes through now, and through deliberate practice and tweaking something, it's become much, much better. But you can hear in the first episode, there's tons of background shit just in the background. There's buzzing noises, there's disconnections. You can tell in my voice that I'm not confident with the questions I'm asking. I'm just all over the place, man. So it's I haven't done a whole lot of quantity, but I found if you're really deliberate about it, which I have been in making minor tweaks along the way, after 30 episodes, I've dramatically improved my game. So, that's just my 2 cents on the subject. But I've noticed on your YouTube channel, hell, the quantity is crazy. You got to be one of the most active posting YouTubers out there. So just a few questions on this. You appear to upload, I think it's 2 to 3 videos a day. So I'm wondering, does this tie back into the quantity leads to quality concept, or are you trying to really pump that algorithm, or what's your mindset regarding all these uploads?
So it's a combination. Part of it is selfish for me to get better, to learn, the practice. The more reps I get, the better I'm going to get. I've done 5,000 videos. 1,000 of them are not public. They're unlisted. They're practice. You know, we've done more practice videos than most people ever release on their channel.
Wow.
And so, and if you look back on my channel, you go back to my first ones, I was terrible. Just flat out, no skill at this, super nervous, really just bad. And, you know, if you practice something 5,000 times, you better get half decent at it. Like you're going to get better. If you do 5,000 episodes of your podcast, it's going to be even better. Right? You look back on episode 1 and say, man, I've grown so much. Like wait till episode 100 and you look back on this one, like, man, I've still grown so much. Like that's just part of your evolution. You have to grow or you're going to get bored and want to move on to something else. So part of it is that selfish growth for me to get better. But most of it is I want to help 1 billion entrepreneurs. That's my kind of life goal. I believe entrepreneurs are going to solve all the major problems of the world, not corporations, not governments, it's entrepreneurs. We're going to be the difference makers. And if I can have a 0.5% impact on 1 billion entrepreneurs, that's major contribution to this planet. And so understanding YouTube, what they want is a lot of consistent content. You know, when I was making 1 video a week, and then I moved to a video a day and saw a huge jump. And we moved from 1 video a day to 2 videos a day and saw another huge jump. And then we moved from 2 videos a day to 3 videos a day, which is what we're at now. And it's a little jump. And maybe because the quality of the videos, you know, like we're always trying to keep a high level and we're always killing off series. And maybe we haven't figured out the way to go from 3 to 4 yet. But if you want to have an impact, you want to understand whatever algorithm it is that you're playing with. So what's the podcasting algorithm? What's the Instagram algorithm? And YouTube is about having consistent quality content. And so if you post 3 videos a day versus 1 a week, you're just going to get a lot more love. And that's the game that I'm trying to play. I want to reach 1 billion entrepreneurs with a positive message. And so it's a combination of those 2 things.
Sure. And what's your business model behind the channel?
My business model in general is I want to create a ton of noise in my industry. I want to kick up lots of dust in my industry, and then I monetize that attention. And so I'm not a household name. I'm not a celebrity. But in the entrepreneurship world, people have come across my content. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, you've probably seen one of my videos somewhere. If you're not an entrepreneur, you probably have never heard of Evan Carmichael or Believe or any of this stuff. When you have attention, when you have eyeballs, when you have influence, there's a lot of different ways to monetize that. And so I don't really care about selling things to my audience. You know, my audience is entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs don't have a lot of money. Entrepreneurs, especially startups. I was there. Like I'm making $300 a month. I can't afford to buy this $8,000 mastermind class or whatever it is. And so I never set out to really have these expensive products to sell to entrepreneurs. I made a deliberate focus that I want to go quantity and not just a few people. It's why I don't do business coaching, because I want to reach the masses. I want to help everybody who wants to start a business and not just go deep with a few people. And so how does that lead to money for me? We work with brands. I get book deals. We do advertising. Everything is basically at scale as opposed to getting money from individual people.
Okay, so advertising, are these embedded into your videos? Because I don't seem to often come across much. Generally, it's just you giving value.
Some of them are, but again, every ad that's in the video has to be value related. So as an example, I work with Sage. They're the world's largest accounting software company, multi-billion-dollar company. The CEO, his name is Stephen Kelly. You may have seen him on my channel. Every month we do a live hangout where Stephen and I talk about a subject, how to make money from your idea or how to come up with your next product or whatever it is. And then we basically spend an hour answering questions from my audience. So entrepreneurs from around the world tune in and they say, how do I do this? How do I do this? What do you guys think about this? And we answer them. And Stephen pays me for that to help spread awareness around Sage. Now there's never, and this is all due to, both Stephen and my vision,
Mm-hmm.
Stephen doesn't want to be a hard salesman for his products, where most companies won't do it that way. Most companies would be like, I need you to come on and promote my thing and give this 2% coupon away. And if we get this number of conversions, we'll keep going, kind of thing. Stephen wants to bring value. And he understands that if you see his face enough, if you see Sage enough, when you're ready to make an accounting software company decision, you're going to at least give them the first shot because they have some awareness. And so those are the kind of deals that I like to make the most. And most brands who approach me who are only in kind of hard sales, direct marketing mode, I can't work with them. We don't jive. We don't get along.
Yeah.
Combined with, I only work with companies that I actually use their tools. So I use Sage software in my company. I can recommend them because I use them.
Yeah.
Other companies approach me and say, hey, can you sell this thing? Like, well, I'd have to try it first before I endorse your company on my channel. And I think a lot of people have those kind of high standards. But at least for me, I don't feel comfortable recommending, because like, I know you're listening, like Brandon's listening to this video. I don't want Brandon making the wrong decision. I want him buying this crappy piece of editing software if it's not actually going to help him in his business. Like that $50 it means a lot to Brandon. I don't want to rip him off. And so I use the tools that I recommend. And so it limits the pool that I can work with. But if you are among those companies and if you are trying to target entrepreneurs, I'm the best person in the world to work with. And so for that, they can pay a premium.
Awesome. Yeah, it's interesting. So basically targeting the guys that do have money, rather than, your classic startup entrepreneur who's living on ramen noodles and maybe $300 a month. So I like it. Next question here for you, Evan. I keep going to call you Michael. I don't know why. Evan.
It happens a lot.
Really?
I get Kevin, I get Even, and I get Michael. Those are the three.
Oh man, yeah, Kevin, Michael, Carmichael, Evan. Okay, so Evan.
Just to mess you up even more. Give you more options. So you can call me anything you want, man.
Oh dear. Okay, so Evan, the work hard versus work smart debate. Now, it's probably a bit old now, but because things move so fast in the entrepreneurship world. But we've got Gary Vaynerchuk on one end going hustle, 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 work hard. You got to work hard. You got to put in 14 hours a day. And then on the other end, you've got people like Ty Lopez, a big influencer, and he's saying work smart. And he even made a video directly addressing Gary Vaynerchuk, or it was more of an indirect addressing of Gary's work hard ethic, and Ty really focuses on the work smart. So I'm wondering, what's your stance on the matter? Do you think they're both equally valuable, or do you think one's more important than the other?
So, I'm familiar with Gary's stuff. I'm not, I know of Ty Lopez, but we haven't collaborated, and I don't really know too much about his message. So I can't maybe address it directly, but from everything I've seen, and we may have profiled more successful people than anybody on YouTube, but maybe anybody on the internet. I don't know if anybody's done more profiles than what we've done, and studying success from across all different fields, from entrepreneurship to athletics to politics to business, everywhere. It's both. Both are your ticket in. Like, you can work really hard and never get anywhere in life. There's lots of people who work hard for somebody else and don't have a lot of success. So it doesn't guarantee, hard work doesn't guarantee that you're going to have success, but it's your ticket in. Everybody who's had massive success, they've worked for it. They've worked hard. They've sacrificed. It's one of the consistent themes. If I look across all the top 10s that we've done, work hard is one of the most consistent rules, along with, follow your passion and get started and all these things. But work hard is one of the most consistent rules. And you see it. The people who are at the top of their game, the Michael Jordans, who have lots of talent, which is, and working smart and yes, like finding mentors and being on the cutting edge of technology, but you're still working hard. You're still the first person there and the last to go, the old cliche examples. But a lot of these successful people, they do both. You need both. Working hard is not enough, and working smart is not enough. You need both. If you want to become the best in your field, the top of your game, you have to do both.
Okay, sure. Now, a lot of my audience, and it's not just my audience, but it's entrepreneurs in general, reading is often a commonly cited way to become a better entrepreneur and ultimately, become really, really successful. So I am wondering, what are your thoughts on reading books to become successful?
I want to tap back quickly. I have one more thought about the working hard.
Yep.
I think a lot of the people who are trying to work smart are trying to avoid doing work. And that's okay to try to find smarter ways to get to your path. But the people who've had the most success are the ones who enjoy the work as well. Like you enjoy interviewing people. If you don't, like, stop doing this podcast. There's no working smart around it if you don't enjoy doing the work of interviewing people. If you're not challenged by looking at them and their bio and trying to figure out nice, niche-y, deep questions to go in on, then don't do it. And so if you are like, I'm curious as to if, for the people listening, why are you even asking that question between working hard and working smart? Because if it's, I'm just trying to work as few days possible to achieve some kind of goal, you're never going to have massive success in your field. You have to love the work that you're doing, which allows you to work hard. It's not just forcing yourself to do it. Like, you like the work, not all of it, but most of it every day to get up and do. And then you're trying to work smart to help get there faster. So just an extra thought that came. In terms of books, I'm not the biggest reader. I think it's important to fill your head with ideas and knowledge. And I just get it better from videos than I do from books. I try to read. I have a practice of trying to read in bed for half an hour before I go to sleep, depending on how late my night goes. I say I do that maybe 4 out of 7 nights a week, depending on how my schedule's looking. Okay. And I always enjoy it and I always get value from it. But I think the most value that I get is from the videos. I made these videos selfishly for myself, and then I wanted to share it with the world, with entrepreneurs. I wanted to feel like I was around really successful people because I looked at my life and I have lots of warm, amazing people in my life who support me to no end. But there's nobody really who's pushing me to say, Evan, what you're doing is good. It's good. It's not crap. But you could play at a whole different level. Like you're playing small, man. In an encouraging push forward, not a you suck push down. And so I thought, if I could just hang around guys like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and Howard Schultz a little bit more, maybe some of their mindset, their belief system would kind of ping off onto me to help me become better. And the challenge is, if you watch Elon Musk videos, you can go through 8 hours of content and you only get like 20 minutes of gold and the rest is not really usable. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if somebody put together like just the highlights of those 20 minutes? That I would love that. I would pay for that. How do I get that? And I think in true entrepreneurial spirit, instead of complaining about something, instead of just wishing somebody else did it, you see a pain for yourself, just go out and solve it. And so I started doing it. And I find that with every video that we make, again, I make it selfishly for myself, and I learn something from each video. If not, then I wouldn't. There's lots that never make it to the channel because I didn't learn anything from it. So I don't want to post it up because I'm not super proud of it. So I think you just need to find the style that works for you. I'm much more visual. And so podcasting is actually the hardest for me because when I can only hear it, it gives me, it's the hardest way for me to take on information. When somebody on my team is like, hey, Evan, can you check out this email I want to send? I need to see it and read it, because if they're just reading to me, it's really hard for me to comprehend it because I need to visualize it. So I think it's just understanding how you learn and then try to customize for that. And so for me, it's videos, and that's why I try to consume them pretty much on a daily basis.
Cool. So you mentioned like 8 hours of Elon Musk video compressed into 20 minutes can be really valuable. So given, even though you're not like a huge reader, I'm still interested in your thoughts on compressed information, specifically regarding books. So, I get the question a lot, like, Brandon, can I just watch this video book summary instead of reading the whole book and still get a lot of value, or do I actually have to read the whole book? So I'm wondering what merit you think book summaries have as opposed to full books.
I think it has a lot of merit as an introduction to a topic. I think just like this, I think what we're doing right now, this is a summary of my thoughts. But if you want more, then you should go check out my YouTube channel or buy my book, right? And so I think it's a great tool. I mean, just like I love trying things before committing to something. You know, I love testing the stand-up desk on my bookshelf before going out and buying a stand-up desk. I think it's the same thing. I think a book summary, I treat like a magazine article. You know, if you want to learn a skill, if you want to learn leadership, you know, you could learn a lot from magazine articles. But at some point, it's just going to be headline summaries. If you really want to know those skills that they're talking about, you won't learn it from a magazine article. You have to go to that person's seminar, or you have to interview them, or you have to read their books. You have to put that work into practice. And so I think those summaries provide a great value to people. It helps you quickly identify if this is something you want to learn more about. But to really get the value out of it, you have to go deeper with it.
Sure. Awesome. All right, cool, Evan. So now we've touched on the 5-toe shoes, we've touched on the stand-up desk and things of that nature, and I have talked about going niche, going deep. So this is where it sort of ups a notch. Now, the next few questions I'm about to ask you, Evan, you know, a lot of people may consider them touchy subjects.
All right.
So yeah, I thought this might get you excited. So I now consider them standard. I think it's important to talk about these topics. To me, now I've been told, I think it was by Grant Cardone when I interviewed him, that I'm brave for asking. But the way I see it, it's just a question that needs to be talked about. Like, I don't have any hesitation in asking. So with that said, Evan, all right, here's just a couple for you. The first one here is regarding the startup scene in Silicon Valley. What's your view on using psychedelic drugs as a tool for getting a competitive edge over the competition?
I don't really know much about it. I don't honestly pay that much attention to Silicon Valley because it's just so few entrepreneurs that go through there. I think the way most businesses are built is not the hyper growth, get venture capital financing and try to explode to the moon. There's so many, for most people, that's not the path they should take. Even though I kind of come from that world, from raising venture capital. In terms of using drugs, I haven't myself. I mean, Steve Jobs did for Apple. He gives a lot of credit to it. The Beatles did for them. For me, maybe it's from my family that we grew up kind of not doing that. I haven't tried it. But if I really thought there was some kind of benefit, I'm one of the, like I said, try something once, see if you get value from it and move on from there. I think for all of these things, as long as you're not hurting other people and you're getting some value and benefit from it, then why not?
Yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah. Really interesting view. And how about in regards to pharmaceuticals? Do you have any views on the big pharma industry?
I don't spend a lot of time thinking about macroeconomics and big pharma and big corporations and government policies and interest rates and legislations and all that kind of stuff. I know it's important. Just I'm so grounded in the entrepreneur world. Like, I care more about what Brandon's going to do with this podcast and how to crush it and get millions of people listening to it, much more than I care about what some big pharma company is doing. I have disrespect for pretty much every corporation out there. I don't think they're going to be the ones making any kind of major change in the world. Do they contribute? Absolutely. Do they have drugs that help people? Sure. Are there other holistic methods that can work? Yeah. I just don't. It's not the world I live in. I don't pay attention to it. I don't have strong hatred or love for them. I'm just focused on entrepreneurs. Okay,
sure. And now, naturally, a lot of entrepreneurs, self-development and entrepreneurship, it's kind of, intertwined. So I'm wondering, have you hopped on the biohacking bandwagon at all? Like, with Dave Asprey's stuff, Tim Ferriss's stuff, anything in the biohacking realm?
Have I done anything in the biohacking realm? Nothing to my body. Nothing like injecting a computer or drugs or, I guess vitamins, whatever. That doesn't really count.
Yeah.
The closest would be doing Wim Hof's Iceman technique. I don't know if you know Wim and what he's all about, but
definitely do.
Basically through breathing and ice water, And again, it came out of pain, like just like my barefoot standing and stand-up desk came from my pain from my legs and my back. I was getting sick all the time, constantly. And I had the mindset that if you were sick, don't come close to me because I'm going to get sick because my immune system is garbage. That's what I always tell myself. And then I had this moment in January where I got insanely sick this year. And I had hiccups for 5 straight days for like 5 hours, 4 or 5 hour hiccups. It's crazy. And I thought, you know what? Like, this is nuts. It's embarrassing. Can't do interviews, can't do anything. I'm not going to get sick again. If somebody's figured this out, I have to not get sick. And I discovered a bunch of things. And one of them was Wim Hof. And I just started, and it's just basically breathing. He has a certain method of doing it, and having cold showers or going outside in the snow. I'm in Toronto, so our winters we get snow. And I haven't gotten sick. I had one day fever since, and that was January, and it's now, it's past the halfway point through the year. And so he's on the weird spectrum, I guess, the outside spectrum of no drugs and you heal yourself and marketing lies and all that stuff. And he came to Toronto. We did an interview. I sat in on his session, and we were the first behind closed doors, camera crew allowed to film his event. I just actually wrote to him today to show him a preview of the video that we filmed. So that's probably the closest thing, and that's worked. I don't know how much else. I'm not really on the cutting edge of biohacking, but I respect it. And again, if I have a problem that I need solving, I'm open to solutions. You say meditation works for this, great. Like, I'll try it. I'll sit with you and meditate. And if I feel something, I'll keep doing it. And if I don't, then I'll stop and move on. But kind of very little judgment towards something until you've given it a shot. I think that's the biggest problem. People are judging things and assuming they don't work without even actually trying them.
Sure. So do you actually have a regular meditation practice?
I've struggled with meditation. I don't know why. I've tried maybe 20 different techniques with different people.
Wow. Okay.
I just don't get the feeling. I'll sit there and I'll do the exercises, and the longest stretch is maybe 2 months using Headspace. I don't know what it is. I've been told that I'm already too calm. I don't know that I buy that. Because I look at the scientific research that comes out, and you see the brain scans, and you see like this helps. This makes you, more superhuman. It makes you a better version of you, which I'm all about. I've never felt the benefit. I went to Tony Robbins in earlier this year, and one of the events was they had this speaker come on, and he's talking about energy field and close your eyes, and there's a field around you, and imagine this kind of ball of energy in front of you, and feel it with your hands, and you can feel it over your head, and everybody's going like, yeah, I feel it. Like, I'm not feeling it. Why am I not feeling it? And maybe I'm too stressed out about trying to feel it that I don't feel it. Maybe I feel like going up. And then they have us with the person next to you. Okay, like, put your hand over their head, and can you feel as you cut through their energy? And like, I don't feel their energy. So I desperately want to, and I genuinely believe that the people who say they feel it, they feel it. I don't think they're off in some crazy wacko cuckoo land. And just because I can't experience it doesn't mean that their experience isn't real with it. Wim was the closest, where through like an entire half day of breathing at the beginning, I felt a tingling, and I felt an experience that I hadn't felt through any other kind of meditation. So I've stuck with it longer than anything else. But my approach is I'll try anything once. If you have some new, like, hey, Evan, you know what? After talking to you got to try, whatever meditation. Like, okay, like, where am I going, Brandon? Send me the link. Send me the workshop. I'll go and try it and do it. It's something I've desperately kind of wanted to connect with because I believe in the science behind it. Just haven't found the right one for me, I guess. Or maybe I have some block that the awareness that maybe I'm blocking it somehow, and I haven't found the right person to help that block get lifted.
Okay. You did mention someone said they said you are typically a calm person, but you don't buy that. So are you normally stressed or not?
Oh no, I'm very calm. I deal with chaos very well. I don't say words that I regret I am a very calm person in general without meditation. I don't need it for stress. That's not the problem in my life. And being an entrepreneur can be stressful, I guess, but I'm fine with that. I don't see that as a problem. I'm not up late night kind of worried about what things are happening. So that's not the reason to do it. But I'm more interested in the scientific benefits and in the focus potentially. I don't know. I just don't want to write off an easy answer. You know, like this works for lots of people. It doesn't work for me. I don't want to just buy that because I'm already calm and I don't get stressed out that I don't need meditation. Maybe that's the answer, but I'm open to an alternative. I'm open to an alternative viewpoint. You know, like again, if you tell me, Evan, you know what, those people, they didn't know what they're talking about. Here's the reason. Like how many times have doctors misdiagnosed something and then you go to the person who actually knows and they say, no, all those things are wrong. This is actually the thing. And it helps you. So I'm generally calm and not, I don't have a life full of stress, but I still believe that there's something there that could help me.
Awesome way of looking at things. Now, the next one is, again, another hit and miss. Who knows? But there's this thing called NoFap, and it's been trending in the self-development scene lately. It's been going wild, and I did identify this as something that was trending probably like 7 months back, and it goes a little bit before that. So I made a couple of videos on it, and yeah, they are performing well. And now you're seeing big influencers, including people like Aaron Marino, posting a video on NoFap as well, and it just blew up because they're all blowing up now. And NoFap is basically, if you don't know, Evan, where primarily men, but women too, are abstaining from porn and masturbation in order to increase their energy levels. And there's a whole range of reported benefits from thousands and thousands of people who've posted their stories on yourbrainonporn.com. And thousands and thousands of people have committed to a 90-day challenge where they basically reboot their systems by abstaining from masturbating and viewing pornography. So I guess my question is, A, have you tried it? And B, if you haven't, then is it something you're open to trying, or do you have any thoughts on this practice?
So I first heard about it when I was dropping my son, or I was picking my son up from his camp, and this older girl, teenager, I guess, came up to him and was like, "Oh, you're from Carmichael. I watch your channel. I love your videos." And so I checked out her channel when I came home, and she was doing the challenge, and every day she was posting a video. It's like, what is she talking about? What is this thing? So that's how I first kind of got onto it. I don't know. I haven't come across the benefits. I haven't really focused on that as an area to say like, okay, this is the next challenge that I'm kind of going to take on. So I don't know. I don't know enough about it, to be honest. Like I haven't seen the research. If I look at every time I see a meditation research paper, I get pissed off because I'm like, come on, another one. Like why does this not work for me? and maybe in the sources I'm reading or the news I'm following, it hasn't come up. But it's one of those things that as it starts to kind of get on your radar, like any other alternative idea, it's like, okay, well, let's maybe the alternative should be the mainstream. Let's see. So I was never kind of motivated, I have my wife too, so that makes things a lot easier. But I haven't seen any of that, like you saying that with focus and like I've never heard that before. I thought it was a religious thing, to be honest, which is fine too. But I didn't know that there was scientific health benefits that people were testing out using it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's more so reported benefits, and which is why it gains a bit of heat, a bit of controversy, a bit of lashback, simply because, the science is pretty weak, and there actually haven't been any controlled studies. Basically, the only scientific resource around it is a book called Your Brain on Porn by Gary Wilson, who lists a whole bunch of evidence that loosely ties up with it, but not enough to make a compelling case. Yeah. for a lot of people who've tried the whole 90-day window, they've just experienced incredible benefits, including myself. And I'm quite an advocate of it. Not that I force it upon anyone, but I do say there is this option, you know, if you're feeling drained and you don't have energy and all that sort of thing, you constantly have low mood, then no fat might be a nice way of trying to reset your dopamine reward system. And dopamine, based on some studies, show that, yeah, you know, porn and all that stuff does very much play a huge role in, you know, overdoing your dopamine reward system in such a way that it weakens it. And so you don't feel motivation and drive or anything. And that's something I actually suffered a lot from myself. So that's why I kind of got an emotional connection to it. But then again, you know, there is that whole debate like, oh, it doesn't have science. So, you know, it's a touchy subject. But yeah, anyway.
I love going into things that don't necessarily have the scientific, just to test, to see, right? Like I look at the same thing with the 5-toe shoes. I think I first learned about it from Tim Ferriss, who talked about it on his show or on his blog, because he didn't even have his show at that time. And somebody wrote a book about it who was a runner, and people assume I'm a runner when I wear the shoes. Like I don't run. They help me. And then Vibram, the main company, got sued for making claims that were not backed up. Like they don't actually help with your, you know, whatever the claim benefits were. For me, they work. Right. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep using them. I'm going to stay barefoot as much as I can. I'm barefoot right now talking to you. And when I go out, I'm going to try to use my Vibrams. You know, they work for me. They may not work for everybody. They may have made claims that were too big. Maybe it doesn't pass all the scientific scrutiny, but I know what I feel. Right. And so I like having things that have, I guess, some you know, if there's enough people kind of saying something and people that I respect saying something, it's worth a shot. Yeah. Like instead of trying to prove it all the time before you do anything, just do it and see. Like try something for a week and see, do you feel any better? I read a whole bunch of stuff on green tea, like green tea benefits. And so I was on a green tea, like, okay, you know what I'm going to try? I'm going to go get the highest quality green tea for, you know, whatever it was, I forget how much it cost. And I'm going to do that for a month and then see, do I feel any better? And I didn't really notice a difference. So, okay, I'm not going to do the green tea thing anymore. I'll still have it, but it's not like part of my regiment anymore. So just try it. Like be open to things, try it. Don't judge something until you've experienced it. And also just believing that other people's experiences are true. Like this worked for you. That's great. It works for you. Even if the scientific research says it doesn't work, like, you know, it worked for you. So keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely love that mindset. Awesome. So we've got about 7 minutes remaining. So with this 7 minutes, I've got a couple like fun questions, I guess you could say. So I'll ask them. The first one here is, you find out that the internet is down for the whole world for 7 days. So you've got no internet, Evan. What do you do for those 7 days?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I love internet's more important than food and shelter, man. I love internet. What do I do for 7 days with no internet? I'll find another way to be busy. I guess it depends what options are open to me. You know, I'm not the, okay, let's go sit on the beach guy. Like after one day on the beach, I'm out. I need to go do something else. So it would still be active. I would be making more videos, waiting for the internet to come back up, which actually is probably what I would do. Like, do I know when it's coming back up or do I not know? Like, is it 7 days that it's I know it's coming back up?
Yeah. So you know it's coming back up. Okay,
so that's probably what I would do. Like, I look at August as my day with no internet. You know, August is slow. Everybody's on vacation. And if you just look at your numbers, like if you're looking at your podcast downloads and all this stuff, August and December are just terrible months because everybody's busy with other things. For most businesses, some businesses take off, but for me, it's terrible. I see that as my month with no internet, and I'm just hustling because I know it's coming back. And now is the time to start driving harder while everybody else is, you know, relaxing and doing their thing. I want to get ahead and be prepared and crush it. The other option would be if something was on my radar, like just like we're talking about Vibrams and other alternative ideas, if it was on my radar that, you know what, you need a 7-week or 7-day sabbatical, or you need a 7-day no internet zone, and this is part of your growth, and it'll help you with your focus and your concentration and your effort, and or go to the temple and don't speak for a week. You know, I've had friends who've done that and come back feeling like that was the best thing in their life. I would embrace that. But if it was kind of forced upon me, I would just be hustling and preparing for when the internet comes back up.
Awesome. Okay. Now, if you were to put a message on a billboard next to a busy highway, Evan, what would you put on that billboard?
It would say believe. That's my one word. I believe in people more than they believe in themselves. And I think if we had a little bit more self-belief, and also kind of belief in our common, you know, brothers and sisters around the world, I think we could do amazing things.
Sure thing. All right. Basically, the last question here now then, Evan, before I give you an opportunity to send the listeners to your places on the internet, I want to ask, if you could go into a time portal and speak to your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give him? What would you tell him?
That's always a hard question for me, because I'm so grateful for everything that I have now that I wouldn't want to change the past, because it made me who I was, and the temptation is to go back and change something, but that, you know, has ripple effects through time. But given the opportunity, if you sent me back to me at 20, and that's a tough period of my life. That's year 2 of that business where we're really struggling. If anything, I would say just believe more. Believe more in yourself. Believe more that this is going to work out. Even if it doesn't make any sense right now and all you see is darkness, like, just keep going through. There's light at the end of that tunnel. Life is going to be amazing. Just believe harder. Don't quit.
Sure. Now, to really round this podcast episode off, Evan, I'm curious now. When it comes to believing in yourself, a lot of people really, really struggle with this. Like, you know, to say like just believe more. Some people really find that difficult. And they just, as hard as they try, even if they affirm it to themselves, they at their deep core level, they just don't believe it. And so they struggle. So I'm wondering, do you have any tips to help people believe in themselves more?
The greatest tip I have is to create an environment that allows you to have that self-belief. And so we've all had moments where you have felt godly, where you have felt unstoppable. Maybe it's listening to this show, maybe hanging out with Brandon, you know, listening to his guests makes you feel amazing and unstoppable. We've all had those moments. And so we've all also had the opposite, which is what most people, I think, have on a regular basis. You've got people in your life who tell you can't do it. You're starting this business and you're not seeing results. And so you question yourself. Often you are your own worst enemy, telling you that you can't do it. And so what I would try to do is take those moments, like think about what led to those moments, whether it's reading a book or watching a video or listening to a podcast, and planning that into your day every day, starting your day with it. Whatever that thing is that makes you feel bold and unstoppable. And no judgment. Like, if waxing your eyebrows makes you come alive, then wax your eyebrows every morning, right? Like, I could literally care less what the thing is that makes you feel bold and unstoppable. Just do that and plan for it every morning, because most people don't wake up and feel unstoppable. You know, for as much as people put on a confident outside, and I did this for when I was starting up. Like, I was making no money in my business, but I was too embarrassed to tell my friends. Yeah. Too ashamed to say I can't afford that $20 to go to have pizza and beer with you, and say, no, I'm living the entrepreneur lifestyle, guys. You know, I got to hustle. But really, I was just too embarrassed. Whatever that thing is, put it into your morning routine. So it's not, for most people, you happen to come across something. Like, maybe they're listening to this interview and it's Thursday afternoon for them at 4:00, and then they're on fire for the rest of the day. But then you reset, like you wake up tomorrow, it's Friday, you're going to start from scratch again. At least I do. I start every day from scratch. And so I need to have something, a morning routine that builds me up and gets me ready to have a great day. And so we have all had those moments. Understand what your triggers are, and then design that into your regular environment so you're surrounded by it more.
Absolutely fantastic. Thanks for that, Evan. So before you run off, I'd love to give you an opportunity just to let our listeners know where we can find you on the world of the internet.
Sure. Hopefully the internet is not down for the next 7 days and you can go check out more Brandon's content and my own. Most of my stuff is on YouTube. I think that's where I'm most well known. You could check me out there. There's lots of videos. Do you have a favorite one, Brandon?
A favorite video, did you say?
Yeah, from my channel.
Oh, let me think. Okay, so I don't have a favorite one specifically, but I do love your top 10 series, or, the one where you profile entrepreneurs. I absolutely love that series.
Okay, so check out the top 10 series. I'm asking Brandon the questions now on his podcast. It's a great start. It's a great start to the content. If you want to reach me personally, I'm on the other networks, Twitter, Instagram. Those are probably the easiest two to reach out if you have a specific question that I might be able to answer for you.
Awesome. So I'll leave your links in the description, Evan. So to the listeners listening in, just check out the description and or show notes, and you'll find Evan's links there. So thank you again. I'll try to use Evan and not call you Michael, Evan. So thank you. Thank you so much, Evan, for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time.
All good, man. Thanks for the love and the interesting questions. It was refreshing.
You're welcome. All right. Have a good one, Evan. Head to brandonnankivell.com/subscribe. This is also the best way to interact with me and keep up with what I'm doing. Again, head to brandonnankivell.com/subscribe. As usual, thank you for listening, my friends. I release new episodes every week. Make sure you don't miss one by subscribing. It's super easy and means a lot to me. Go to iTunes, search for The 1% Show, and click subscribe. Once again, I'm your host, Brandon Nankivell, and I'll see you in the next episode.